He was good too.
Well, he's been out today.
call the November the 7th Lincolnton City Council meeting to order. If we could stand and have a moment of silence followed by the pledge. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the regular agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We've got 3 items on the consent agenda. You've had a chance to look at those. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Move to approve as presented.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Before we go down to the public comment, I'd like to take a second to exercise a little bit of personal comment. And I promised her I wouldn't do it, but I've lied to her so much she's used to it by now. This is Christine's last month sitting on the city council, and next month she's going to come back, and we will honor her then. But I just feel like that she has been an excellent addition to the city council, and I take privilege to say Christine has been a good friend, and we were talking the other day, just because she's going off city council doesn't mean that I'm losing a friend. And that's the best way to look at Christine and Jean. And but anyway, just wanted to say that just so that it'd mess her up a little bit and get her started.
Well, I'd like to say it's been my pleasure and an honor to serve on this board. And I thank the people of Lincolnton for having confidence in me and electing me. And it was wonderful to get to know every single one of you, and thank you for all your help.
Thank you. We feel the same way, and we will miss you. But Mark, you got big shoes to fill. But next month we will go through the reorganization. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Has anyone signed up?
Yes, sir. You have 3. First one is Mr. Hull, Alan Hull.
Hey, Alan, you're first up. 3 minutes, sir.
Mayor and City Council, just wanted to kind of one part this morning, the Union School, which they have done it, I don't know how many years, but honoring veterans and stuff this morning, and had a tremendous turnout, but they had a tremendous service for veterans and stuff there at school. But one of the things that they did was they had amazing, being so young, and the ones that sung and all that kind of stuff, and one of the songs was really touching. But that is basically our hope, and their one song was "We Are the Nation." And that, like I said, that was, I didn't catch all the other words to it in a lot of ways, but that, like I said, that really touched me. Being the future of our nation, whatever's there, and everything else. And I brought this up before, but I feel that we and y'all are failing our young people. I've got, I don't know how many pages of all this stuff that I brought to you before, as I did the county as well. But this near states about what's called mRNA vaccine injuries. And it's reporting by a doctor 5 through 11-year-olds are dropping dead from heart attacks. And then also 12 to 19 years olds. And we're not talking about some that's overweight or whatever. We're talking about athletic young people who's playing sports or whatever, and they're dropping dead. They just had this past summer, and I guess practice and everything else in Tennessee, they had 3, and this was high school, that dropped dead. And all these was ones that, of course, took this shot, supposed to have been for the COVID, and the shot is producing more deaths than the COVID ever hoped to do. And then they talked about the test that they did was 97% proved false positive, even though that the federal government gave hospitals and everything else money for that. And if they died, then the government got more or gave more for the hospitals for that too. But it also stated 367 athletic, cardiac arrest, and other serious issues, 209 dead after the COVID shot. So, the city council can stand up and do something, the county commissioners can, the sheriff and everybody else. But if we all sit back and do nothing, we'll be held accountable. And hopefully with this new administration's taken over, and with Robert Kennedy is talking about what he's going to be doing. But each and every one, we all have a responsibility to protect these young people in school that accept what we tell them is truth, and we look out for their best interest. And I feel like we have not. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Mr. Trent Mason.
Trent, 3 minutes, sir.
Trent Mason, 207 Mockingbird Lane. See, it's great, though, because I went to Student Advisory Council this past week, and Ed told me 3 minutes. And I got reminded by my students who were there that, like, hey, did you know you took 18 minutes? I said, yep, for all those times he's told me 3 minutes. I said I was going to make the most of it, because I was like, there was no gavel in his hand. There's no deputy over there to be like, Trent, so I got you back on that one, so I appreciate it.
But I told him that the comments that he made then would count against his 3 minutes now. So
I'm not allowed to talk for, the next 6 months, to sit down and look pretty. I can do that, sir. But City Council, Mayor, also my daughters who are watching, like always. It's good to see all of you. Christine, it's been a pleasure. I would like to just say, for the record, on my end, you're the best point set. We like you, Gene. I enjoyed my years on planning board with you. But Christine's always giving me candy up there, and she doesn't take out of her bowl. I got more out of her than I did you. So yeah. But Christine, you will be missed. Mark, we look forward to working with you as chair of the Young Adult Steering Committee. Apple drop is going well. Waiting for Richie to respond to a text message I sent to him 3 days ago about some Porta-Johns. So, don't answer right now. This is my time. You can wait till afterwards. Sorry, I got to give it to the city once again. The Apple Festival. I mean, there's nothing better than to be downtown. And Winter, while she said, Trent, here's a microphone, you get to MC these. I was down here on South Aspen on the stage, and I'm still haven't recovered because I was yelling the whole time from my daughter's soccer game to being on the stage. But there's nothing better, I know, right? Can't believe it. I'm surprised my voice is still hoarse from it. But I gotta say, I mean, it shows off the city, and there's no better weekend that does it. To see the amount of people who come out and come from all over to see our city. We do a great job. I gotta go to Winter and her committee. The Apple Festival committee. They did an amazing job once again. Always gonna look forward to it. It's already being planned for next year. Right? Even my small little thing that we do for Young Adult Steering Community, for the Apple Drop. Didn't realize it would take that much, but I can imagine, that's only about 15 times bigger than what our event is. But thank y'all for that. Also, the Halloween, seeing the people downtown. Taylor Edie talked about how she gave out 1,126 pieces. Kevin, we talked beforehand. You said you had 3 laundry baskets of candy that you gave out, and you still had, a little bit left over. And you maybe called it quits a little bit early. That's just amazing. To see that many people, that shows we have young people here. We need to make sure that we continue to, foster those relationships with the young, especially younger kids as we get them in Parks and Rec, and they're in soccer, they're in volleyball, basketball, and that's what the Optimists I know. But all of those things, I think that's where we continue to invest, and I think we're doing a great job so far. Thank y'all so much.
Dr. Sue Frigoletti.
Hello. I am actually here on behalf of the Community Treatment Court of Lincoln County as a volunteer. The mission of the Community Center Court of Lincoln County is to promote a safe and healthy community while providing quality programs that enhance public safety through education and treatment to assist participants with a smooth transition in returning to a stable and productive lifestyle. Many of you on this board have become volunteers of this very important program, and we're getting some really great successes. But this program is funded through grants, which means a lot of the little things that these participants need to be able to be successful are not things that can be paid for through a grant. So one of the things that some of the volunteers have started to do, we've been doing some fundraising behind the scenes, but we're going to actually have our first formal fundraiser this weekend. So we're going to be doing a charity cruise-in from 11 to 5 this weekend in downtown. The First Federal Bank has allowed us to be able to use their parking lot to be able to have as a base. Some of the participants will also be there, and we'll be able to do some education about this important program. And we really were just hoping to be able to make sure that the council would support being able to continue to provide this important service to the members of our community.
Sue, what time is it?
11 to 5 on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. And Sue did mention, and he's a member of our community, Todd Pomeroy has done such a good job with this. And Todd spoke at City Council several months ago, but I can't say enough about his leadership skills.
Well, and this is not, this is really a team effort. It's Todd, it's the DAs, it's the public defenders, it's trial court administrator, treatment court coordinator. They have case management, they have peer support, all the treatment providers are there. I would encourage anyone to come out to be able to see the amazing work that's really being done. And I think there's a lot more work to be done, and I think it's really interesting to see how the transition, just in the amount of time that they have been there, to be able to say, okay, the problems are changing now. We have a lot of people that have been sober for a very long time, and it's absolutely amazing, but now they need more life skills. They need different types of support services, and we need to continue to support them as they transition back into the community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Okay, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is we've got one public hearing, and I'll open up that public hearing and turn it over to June.
Just a minute to switch over. So we are here tonight about a property on North Generals Boulevard at 357. The existing zoning is planned business. It is the former Homestead's restaurant. It's been vacant for about 5 years. The applicant is proposing to rezone it. It's a conditional zoning district to highway commercial conditional district for the purpose of having a new automated car wash that would include fuel pumps and spaces to vacuum your car. Just a little bit about the applicant. They're a local business, and they're headquartered in Matthews, North Carolina. Their first location opened in December of 2012 in Fort Mill. So they are local. They have about 20 car washes in the Charlotte region, in the greater Charlotte region, and each of those places employ a little over 20 employees per site. So just a little bit about the business. This is just an aerial of the property. This is the zoning that's there. The adjacent land uses include residential multifamily to the south and a little bit to the east, as well as commercial uses to the north, east, and west. Zoning districts vary from planned business to general manufacturing and residential multifamily. It's just a street view. You can see the former Homestead's restaurant. The parcel with a little bit of longer grass, that's the parcel we're talking about. That's just a view from the other direction. This is just a visual of what the car wash would look like. You can see the building itself. You can see they're going to have some uncovered vacuum areas and then some covered as well. When we look at the site plan, you'll be able to see that. They would be provided by the city of Lincolnton for water, sewer, electric, police, and fire. They would have a private vendor for solid waste. We did a little deep dive just to show you a comparison between the restaurant that was there previously and the car wash on what their water and electric usage would be. And Sam's average monthly usage for water is 300,000 gallons. The restaurant was using around 65,000 gallons. And then for electric, they use 45,000 kilowatts, and the restaurant had around 33,000 kilowatts. So it would be a substantial water and electric user for the city. I'm going to deviate from this site plan a little bit just so we can zoom in on the other one, but real quick, let's see. Just because when you use this version, you can zoom in better. You can see where the former restaurant is kind of in the background here. That building will go away. And they will have entrances from the Tractor Supply parking lot. They'll have 2 entrances from the north and 1 from the south. There'll be a 4,000 square foot or 4,100 square foot car wash building here. This area would be the covered vacuums. This area is the uncovered vacuums. And then back here, there would be fuel pumps. The area to the rear would remain as it is pretty much. They're going to try and save as many trees as possible. Does anybody have anything about the site, any questions about the site plan before I move to the next slide? The land use currently has that area as the planned business planning area. The large majority of commercial uses outside of downtown are likely to occur in this area. Planned business areas are designed to be the city's destination shopping areas, and they encompass like larger shopping centers and commercial areas along the city's major corridors. So staff does feel that rezoning this would be consistent with the future land use map. There were many conditions of approval. I'm not going to read through them all, but just some of the highlights. They do need to provide us with calculations for the impervious area. If this is approved, they would need to submit a complete set of civil drawings that meet all the UDO requirements and have to be approved by all departments before the site can be approved, or before the construction can be approved. Development on the site is consistent with the above site plan and the architectural renderings. Building plans must be submitted and approved by Lincoln County inspections prior to development. They would need demo permits from the city of Lincolnton, Lincoln County, and the fire department for the existing building. Again, I mentioned that earlier, but to the rear, we would like to see them save as many of those trees as possible, and they'll show what trees they're going to remain on their site plan when they submit that. They're required to meet Appendix D of the fire code, which Gary said they did a pretty good job on this plan, but that gets looked at, on the construction drawings. Public Works said a sidewalk meeting the city of Lincolnton's requirement must be installed along the entire frontage of North Generals Boulevard and connect to that existing sidewalk to the south. Travis Jordan at NCDOT said they would not need a driveway permit because they're not going to have any new curb cuts, and they would just need an encroachment agreement if the sidewalk is in their right of way. There's some electric items in here. They've already reviewed these. I'm not going to go through them all. Water and sewer, Todd's got some comments about where the connections should be. And then soil erosion, they have to have a EC plan to be submitted for review and approval for Lincoln County before any grading is to begin. So staff does feel that this is consistent with the Lincolnton land use plan in the following ways. It would redevelop a parcel that has been vacant for several years. They would be installing increased parking lot landscaping as a means to improve the aesthetics of commercial development, and they're using existing curb cuts and have entry from multiple access points. So this approval of this project is reasonable because it's compatible with the surrounding area and it enables development of underutilized site, and it does meet those goals that are mentioned in the land use plan. The planning board voted unanimously in favor of recommending this project for approval, and we do recommend the following actions. That approval of the rezoning of the property from planned business to highway commercial conditional district, approval of the statement of consistency for approval of the rezoning request, and that the zoning would be effective upon receipt of the signed conditions of approval. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions of Gene?
And the applicant's here as well if you have any questions for the applicant.
Does the applicant wish to speak?
You don't have to, it's just if you wanted to. We're not going to make you.
Just giving you an opportunity. Okay. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this issue?
No one signed to speak.
Then I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make that motion.
A motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now I entertain a motion to approve as recommended by the staff.
I'd like to make that motion.
Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. It'd be good that that is back in use, because that building has sat there empty for a long time. Thank you for choosing Lincolnton. Okay, next item on the agenda, we're down to item 4, and I'll turn it over to Nathan for Parks and Rec policy and procedures.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you for your time this evening. And I asked Tanya to come up here because Tanya put in a great deal of research and effort to put this, or to update this youth protection policy and the volunteer background screening process. As you recall, back in July of this year, you guys approved this new policy change. And since then, we've had a former volleyball coach come to us because before she was able to coach prior to the change, but with the new revisions, it kind of knocked her out from being eligible. And so I talked to Tanya about it and kind of pled my case for the positives of allowing her to coach. And so we discussed it. We involved John. We sought his opinion. And we came to a compromise that I think is a win-win for everyone. So if you would look at page 3 in your packet there, the proposed changes are highlighted there. And really, the head coach would continue to be an adult or teen, 18 or older. But the change would involve the assistant coach, still an adult or teen, 18 years or older is preferred, but we did allow an exception there where we may have an occasional 16 or 17-year-old that wants to get involved with their community, give back, and in doing so, maybe earn some community service credit through their school or whatever it may be. The other stipulation is that they could only be in an assistant's role and could only conduct activities in the presence of the head coach, or if the head coach was not present, they had to conduct practices or games where a park and recreation staff member was present who is 18 or older. So either way, they would still be supervised by an adult. So, Tanya, did you have anything to add?
No, we thought this was a really good compromise because we do want to encourage the younger people to participate. We do not have a lot of them that actually will apply for being a coach of any, whether it's a head or assistant, but we do need to limit their capabilities due to liability type of issues, because you're talking about groups of children, and soccer is usually about 15 of them. So to protect the city, that's why we put those guidelines in place, because we want to encourage the young people, 16 and 17, but still help the city in reference to protection, limiting.
Yes.
There's not that many of them, and
No,
generally
there's not.
Nathan is going to know them all anyway because they've grown up through our programs. And I do think this is a good move, like he says, compromise, because we want to encourage them to continue volunteering as they go through their other years and be a little bit older, because as you know, we need a lot of volunteer coaches for these
Sure
sports
do.
programs.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain. Oh, go ahead, Jill.
The thing that stood out to me was somebody has to be on the premises. Now, I know how big that area is. A ball field, the thing, that's my concern.
Highland Drive is, correct me
Is
if I'm
that
wrong,
Highland Drive is not
the
a-
park at Highland Drive is the one that has the largest area. And he always has a recreation coordinator there on site, and they, of course, are meeting these age requirements that actually this policy put in place we did not have before. So it was kind of a mixed bag out there before in reference to who was being coaches. But we had discussions in reference to City Park, because normally we do not have a recreation program coordinator at City Park. So that is one that probably would not be able to have an assistant coach that's 16 or 17 be in a position to be over the activities, because there's not a rec coordinator there.
There. Somebody gave me some advice a long time ago about don't borrow trouble. And that's what I thought of when I saw this, because 16 years old, I taught school a long time. And I know Nathan, I know people would know them, but I have a reservation about that, about 16 years old and about on the premises and not being right there.
And I put them through the same ringer. We had matter of fact, our big discussions prior to our pre-meeting, and that was my big question and my big concern from a liability standpoint. Because one of the things I told them is, my job is to keep us from getting sued in the city, and that I had the same question. And so I think they ultimately came up with a good compromise that protects the city, protects the children, but allows these coaches that, and one thing that I'll personally add is that I didn't realize how successful and how popular our Parks and Rec programs are. Mainly because I got a kid that's 23, not, the age that's going there. And having these kids available when we have the few that have come up through is a major plus. We just had to come up with a solution to, minimize the liability. I mean, we're never going to get rid of all liability, but I think they come up with a very good compromise that is safe, keeps us having an adult on hand. Because I threw some scenarios at them. What if this happened? Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
One for you, hypothetical, and this is just in my mind. So we have game day, and Team A shows up and Team B shows up. Team A's coach isn't able to be there, so the assistant coach is going to be there. Got all the parents there, you got all the fans there, you got all the referees there, everybody's there ready to play with the balls there, everything's there. But there's not a Parks and Rec individual on the premises, so that game gets canceled. Is that my understanding of what y'all are saying?
If that was the case, yes, they would not be able to continue. But typically on game days, we do have either a program coordinator there
Yeah.
or another Parks and Rec staff that would be over the 8.
But that would be the policy. If that game at that time, game time, it would be canceled.
Yes, and that would be something we would build into our rules and regulations for each sport.
And Kevin, that was one of the things on my discussion with them we were really trying to avoid, but kind of I told y'all we couldn't have that scenario where a 16-year-old was in charge.
That's right.
So we're going to have someone over the age of majority, which is 18 in North Carolina.
That's right.
And more than anything, hoping that person is the person that can make the 911 call or deal with the emergency situation as it happens. There's obviously some issues potentially there, even with an 18-year-old, but from a due diligence standpoint, which is where I'm looking at it from, because obviously my view has to be totally different than what theirs is, because I got to look at it from council with an SEL, not CIO perspective. And so, I mean, I hate the idea of canceling a match or a game, but unless we have someone. But my understanding from our discussion is most of the time there'll be somebody there that can step into that role.
Understand, and I get that. I'm just saying you'll have a lot of pressure at that particular point in time, if that situation were ever to occur. And just want to be sure that that game would be
It
in
needs
East
to be
Canton.
added. We have referees that are 16, 17 years old too.
Yeah.
And it's because of demand and but you know, the thing is, and I've said this all along, because we traditionally have had kids come through the program and then volunteer to coach, especially if their sister or brother is playing on the team. But in soccer, because we all grew up, nobody knew anything about soccer, none of the rules, anything. So it's hard initially finding coaches because the mom and dads knew nothing about it.
know.
Well, these kids know because they play the sport, and they're some of your better coaches because the instruction part of it, plus the kids look up to them and so forth. So we've been doing this for years. It's just when the policy changed, it kicked a few out. But, you know, like I say, we've got lifeguards that are 16, 17 years old, referees. You know, you go out to that car wash, you're probably going to have service by a 16 or 17-year-old. And there might be one adult on premises, and there might not be, you know.
16, 17-year-olds drove the buses.
Exactly right.
I
Yes,
get it,
yes.
it's all good, but
But unfortunately, our world has changed.
Yes,
I
it has.
understand,
It
yeah.
has.
Yeah.
But
Not, you know, in part of it because of the lawyers.
But I think in part of that too, though, and this would be something that Nathan and his staff would need to look into, is yes, we would maybe not have somebody at City Park, so we probably wouldn't put an assistant coach that's that young on a team at City Park.
Correct.
We'd probably direct them toward Betty Ross where we're never going to have staff.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, we can, I think, help ourselves a little bit there as well.
Yeah.
just as long, you know, if you make a set of rules, just gotta follow them.
But you know, we somewhat caused the issue ourselves because the participation is so high. It's just getting hard to find coaches and.
And what you're talking about, bringing young people and getting them used to volunteering, I am 100% behind that.
The colleges are demanding that now.
Yeah.
These on your applications, they
And-
want
and-
they want to see somebody that's done the work in the community.
Yeah.
And to be honest, this was sparked by a potential volleyball coach who reached out to Tanya and I by email. She wrote a well-written email to us, kinda,
Very well written,
you know, explaining her stance.
because we denied her to begin with.
And so, to do our due diligence, we wanted to kind of pursue this avenue to let her know or show her that, you know, we just wasn't gonna brush her off. That we were
And I
gonna-
do want to say also, we have a process in place that, when we put this new policy in place, we also realigned how it was on the website, because every coach, no matter what their age, if they want to be a coach, they have to go through that process online. They read through the different items, which includes the backgrounds and what they have to complete. And even the 16 and 17-year-olds, if they want to apply, they've got to do that volunteer application. That application comes into my department. Yes, we'll run the backgrounds on them, but you know, at that age, the background's not going to show because technically they're going to be minors. But there are references on those applications, just like a job application. Those are things that we can follow up on to make sure that if we have one at this age, that we can make sure that we have good references from whoever's they've got listed. But I truly believe that ones that are going to apply are going to be few. More than likely, Nathan or his staff is going to know them because they've come up through the programs that the city has. And they're probably also on the teams at the schools. So,
And one thing I might add, and not that I pipe up a lot during these city council meetings, because we don't normally have big issues I need to speak on, which is good. But on this one, I truly appreciated being brought in to the discussion because of the liability side of things. But on the flip side, you know, it makes one proud of the city. You see a program that's, one, this successful, that they have this issue, and two, these folks care enough about it to say, hey, we really do want to keep these kids involved. We want them to pass it on to these other kids. And then the idea that we're willing to spend the time and effort to look at individual kids, or just individuals, because they will be important to the program. That all being said, I think it's a great thing for the city, and I truly appreciate it being brought up. And from my perspective, being city council, I gotta look at it and go, all right, where's our liability at? Because, I gotta be the bad guy and nix stuff that can get us into trouble. This one, because they're going through all this, coming up to the program, et cetera, I think it's minimal. But add in the fact that you got folks that are willing to sit down, take the time, look at the resumes, look at these individuals, and say, hey, yeah, they're vetted, we know they're good, and then spend the time to say, hey, we're still going to have somebody, Server 18, on premise. As a parent, if my child was still in that age bracket, I would feel pretty good about that. So kudos to y'all. I didn't really say that in our last meeting, but I think you're doing a great job on that. So, and I appreciate y'all's questions, particularly yours and yours. With that said, I do think this is a good way to resolve the issue and do, unlike a lot of folks will do, especially in bureaucracies, and say it's not just black and white. We're going to look at each individual person and say they fit, this works. We're going to have in this case, we've got to have someone else here, or you got some flexibility, and they're looking at it on an individual case basis. So that's a huge positive. So from my perspective, based on what they told me, I gave it a thumbs up. I think it's good for the city, but it also resolves 99.9% of the issues that I think we'll face. We can't take care of all of them, but the bulk of them we've covered.
Sometimes we have adults that maybe not act as mature as some of the 16, 17 year olds we have. So
I'm biting my tongue. Because as a former coach and school administrator, if a kid has come up through the program, knows how to play the sport, I think you're going to get much more out of a 16 to 18-year-old than you will a lot of adults that you have to talk into coaching and don't really know the rules. So I applaud you for giving high school kids that opportunity. I think it's great. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, I'll turn it over to Richie for discussion about the social district.
Thank you, Mayor. As you're aware, when we set the social district in place, that we agreed we would come back together for discussion within a 6-month period, and we're within that window now. I think on 2 different occasions, I know we did this week, but on another occasion, shortly after the district had started, we discussed it at our morning meetup with the DDA and the merchants. At that time, no issues, and as we found out Wednesday, no issues. On our end as a city, we have had 0 complaints and we've had 0 issues. I also talked to a merchant that's kind of in the middle of the social district, and he said, amazingly, he said, I've not had 1 cup or 1 issue since it's been installed. So he just wanted us to know that from a merchant or from a business, that he's not had any issues either. We met last night as a group to discuss it. I wanted to make sure that everything was going good on the participants, the ones who are actually serving the drinks in the social district cup. They've not had any issues either. Seems like it's going pretty smooth. And the only thing that they had mentioned were the days. As y'all know, we're a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We did that initially just to see how it would go. They had mentioned possibly going back to 7 days, but not serving until 1 o'clock on Sunday. And the other days would be just like it is now, just a regular time. But I can say as a manager, I've talked to Chief Green about this on several occasions. We have had no issues. We've not had the first phone call. So I don't have anything to report on that end. As far as traffic, the merchants, they feel like they have seen people utilize it. And I think the more events we have, that people can use it, whether it's some of the special events or others. I think it'd be used more. But be glad to answer any questions. But really, it's been a non-event for us, and glad so. I'm glad it has been.
So some of the special events that take place where the social district is not allowed.
Yeah, and we've decided we're gonna let DDA have some discussion on that. The only complaints that the people serving have had are on the special event nights, especially Live After 5, which is a DDA event. But we got to realize that's their fundraiser, so we don't want to do anything to inhibit them from making money during the event. But we've heard a lot of that. So what we're going to do is probably take the committee and meet with DDA and kind of go over, is it feasible? Is it something we think we can do? I did tell them as a manager, I felt the 3 events that we did not need to have it would be July 4th. That's a family friendly event, Apple Festival, and Christmas Parade. I just think that those 3 events we do those. They're free and they're family events, and I just feel like those would be something. And then also, I think we probably have to include the apple drop in that as well, because it's done at that time frame because of that. But we're not wanting to bring that up tonight because it needs to be vetted through. It was just mentioned as discussion last night. So as of right now, those signature events are still off limit, but we'll try to have something back to council before we start our events in the spring and go through each one. And but I don't know that I have a particular issue with the Live After 5s. I don't know that it would hurt that much, but that is a DDA decision, I think.
It was my idea to try just Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I'm glad that we tried it and we were all right with it.
Yeah, like I say, zero issues on our end. So I think it just adds another, another tool to the toolbox for the merchants and the restaurants and the bars. So.
Well, originally when we did it, it was going to be a trial period, and I think that's why we're here right now talking about it, is because we're at the end of that trial period. And to me, it makes sense to extend the days on out so there's less confusion about what's going on and when it's happening. And the question is just which days to try and extend to. Do we want to stop at Sunday, or do we want to add Sunday? And I think the general consensus seems to be to maybe add Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and leave Sunday off the books. I don't know, what do y'all think?
Yeah, I will agree with that.
And there again, the good thing about this, the way the state set it up, is we can bring it back at any time as we see things need to be changed or we want to update whatever it may be. That's one of the reasons I did temporary signage. And the map can change as well, because we have several people that are working on projects that probably will want to be included in the district. And Chris Jones has got to set it up now. You just QR code, and it gives you the map on your phone. And so, I mean, we've done nothing that is permanent for a reason, because we wanted to make sure that everything, because the mayor and I talked about this originally, we don't do anything to hurt our downtown. No. We have a special downtown, and people love coming down here, especially from the bigger cities that just enjoy the what I call the laid back atmosphere, and they enjoy the different variety of shops and restaurants we have. So yeah, I think it was the right move to do that, to have a trial run. But I can report, as a city, we've not had any issues.
Okay. Do we need to take a vote?
If you're going to, yes, if you're going to add the days, it'll need to be in a motion, and we will send the paperwork to the state.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to extend the social district to exclude Sunday, but every other day
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion. I'll make a motion that we extend the social district to Monday through Saturday
Same times as we got right now.
in the
Yes.
same time.
Yes.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
For the record, I'll vote affirmative.
And we will need, like I said, we will need to order some permanent signage. I think we have found out, though, we probably got too many signs, so we're gonna try to do some stenciling on sidewalks for some of it. We're not gonna bring back the red trash cans, so don't worry about that. We found out we did not have a trash issue. If we do, if we find our areas, we'll just add some of the black trash cans that we've got now.
Unrelated question, I know we ordered some cups for
Yes.
the merchants. How are those holding out? How are we doing?
They're fine. We had that discussion, I think they all got a bunch, and some of them were a third down, you know, some of them might not have been that, but we over-ordered, but at the same time, you got a better price for doing that. The deal was, we used our grant money from Electric Cities for the promotional part of it and the cups and so forth. Those vendors will order it their own cup next time. So if they're using more, that'll be up to them, so yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, thank you then. Next item on the agenda is a request from Lincoln Landmarks, and I'll turn it over to Richie again.
Thank you, Mayor. I've had a request from Beth Yarborough of Lincoln Landmarks. If y'all remember, when we had our nonprofits send in their funding request, her request was that she didn't need anything right now, but if a need came up for the building or for the grounds in this fiscal year, that she would bring it to us. They're wanting to put some irrigation into the yard. I think they're having a hard time keeping grass, and they're redoing some of their brickwork and so forth. She had asked if we would provide a tap, and I said, well, you have to realize that's an enterprise fund. We have to operate it as a business. I said, but if you want to request for us to give you the $2,000 that you can use to pay us back for the water tap, we can do that because it's a historical building and it does mean a lot to our community. So she's just requesting the $2,000 to basically turn around and pay us for the tap fee. So we're going to take it out of this pocket and put it in that pocket. But legally, we should always operate that enterprise fund as a business.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Lincoln Landmark request.
I make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're down to next item, and I'm a month ahead on this, but I wanted to give everybody a chance to know that we are going through reorganization next month. And
Boy, I'm leaving at the right time.
boy, you are, golly, yeah, boy, that's.
We still have committees that you can get on as a volunteer, though. Remember that. So.
She and I were talking about it today. I told her, with her experience as far as planning and to get away from Gene, two good reasons for volunteering for that. But if you have a committee that you want to serve on, we're losing our mayor pro tem. So anybody that is interested in that, please let me know in the next couple of weeks so that we can do some planning. But if there is a committee assignment that I know Jill has talked to me, but if there is a committee assignment that you want to change, let me know ahead of time so that I don't announce it and then have to take a step back. Okay, and that goes for you too, Mark. If there's any committee that you want special, let me know. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the manager's activity report and update.
And I promise you, we're not going through this whole report. I know it's a little bit thicker than normal, but there's just some information in there that I wanted to provide you, some good reading material, especially on a night that you can't fall asleep. So, first of all, let's go through some dates. As you can tell, Christmas season's upon us, and we've got a lot going on in our downtown. On the November 9th, second Saturday Shop Local, and it's the downtown Christmas open house. And I put in parentheses, I hear Santa's going to be there, so you need to show up and bring the kids and grandkids. November the 11th, just a reminder, city offices will be closed for Veterans Day, but I do want to mention right below that, Veterans Day parade at 11. They'll come down Main Street and right there at the courthouse, right kind of at the chamber and the tax office. They do a little ceremony there, and it's really good. Hopefully the weather cooperates, because that's always, you never know about that. And then November 15th, Cocoa and Cider Art Crawl. I don't know how you can go wrong with Cocoa and Cider, but it sounds like a really good event. That's from 5:30 to 9 o'clock. And just a reminder also, November 28th and November 29th, city offices will be closed for Thanksgiving. And then want to mention the Christmas parade and tree lighting. Even though it's not in November, it's December the 1st, and the parade will start at 4, and the tree lighting will be after that. I think last year had to be the largest crowd we've had in 20 years. It was unreal. And it's really, really good to see the people that come back to be here with their family for Thanksgiving. They stay for the parade. And I get to see some of the people I graduated with, and they're staying around until the parade's over with before they go home. A few monthly highlights. If you'll, I put in your packet the city page. That is our employee newsletter that we send out, and Julie Wright puts that together for us. It's really good. It's got some great information. You get to see some pictures of the guys working, and out in the field. You see the men and women who've won an award or whatever. It's like I say, it's really good. Wanted to mention a few achievements this month. This is the 34th year in a row that the finance department has received the GFOA award, and it's not easy. And Pam and her staff, I cannot tell you what an amazing job they do, and to do that 34 years in a row is unreal. But we thank them. We thank our auditors. That's just a great accomplishment. Also wanted to mention, our Lincolnton Police Department received the $500,000 COPS grant. So that's going to help fund those new positions that we're putting in for the Startown Road. So that's exciting. Ashley Jones. Is Ashley here? Ashley, you want to stand up, give him a wave? Ashley is your new zoning administrator. And as y'all have known Ashley, especially if you come to the planning board, she's very active in that. But we're so excited for her in that position, and we know she'll do a great job. Good. And then Stephanie.
Taking a step back.
Huh?
Taking a step back, can I thank Patrick McHenry for his work with that?
I put that in there in your packet as well.
With that grant, I was able to go to that with some of the police officers, and Patrick. And he is no longer our, well, I guess he will be until the
January, I guess, yeah.
January. But Patrick's been a good representative, has become a good friend, and he was very instrumental in getting that money.
I can't tell you how many fire trucks he's gotten in the county over the years. All that came out of the Homeland Security and the 9/11 stuff. But yeah, we've been if you look at the money that Patrick and Jason have brought to Lincoln County from Washington and Raleigh, it's amazing.
And we lost them both.
Yeah, I know. But getting back to the list, Stephanie Madrino, local government finance certificate. That's through the School of Government. She received that, and then one of my favorite names, Mamadou Diallo, and he received the Police Officer of the Quarter for July and September. And if you've ever met Mamadou, he's always smiling. I don't know if I've ever seen when he's wasn't smiling. Just a great employee and so good in the community. And then just a few more. Noah Watson, he earned his title of Master Police Officer. John Delaney earned the title of Police Officer 2. And Colton Castell earned the title of Police Officer 2 as well. Bittersweet, but our next one on here is Todd Cochran, who's retiring after 25 years from the water treatment plant. Todd has been the person that's gone around and taken samples at people's houses, and I'm sure brightened their day when he did it, because he's he's the type of person that he lights a room up when he comes in, and he's loud, so he, you know he's there. But I'd say we're gonna miss him, but I'm gonna see him at football games. So I'm not gonna have to miss him too much. Some things I'd like to mention. We recognize the individuals who were out there in the elements the day of the hurricane and the day after and so forth. But I'd like to go through some people that have actually gone to the mountains and assisted in whether it's cleanup or patrolling or working a shift at the fire department. So first of all, the Lincoln Police Department sent individuals up to Asheville, and those were Terry Posey, Isaiah Matthews, Chandler Mims, Carson Williams, Garrett Von Bargen, and Josiah Coffey. And then we had the Lincoln Fire Department. This is going to take a little bit because we had several shifts that they covered. These were 24-hour shifts that they covered for Black Mountain. But that was Glenn Floyd, Micah Hone, Ethan Millwood, Marcus Shoemaker, Peyton Dexter, Austin Morton, Tyler Swafford, Brady Hickman, Mason Reynolds, Branson McNeely, Colt Henderson, Lee Hanson, Mitchell Higdon, Bryson Caldwell, Justin Ford, Jimmy Rudisell, Hayden Andrews, Dylan Reichard, Tyler Russ, and then the fire marshal Gary Stevenson went to Mitchell County. Then we had our distribution collection. They've actually 3 or 4 trips, Todd. 4 trips to Old Fort. They were asked to come up there and help dig out the mud at the wastewater treatment plant and to get it to where they could start working on it. And I'd like to recognize them. Naturally, Todd was with them. Elmore, Chris Carpenter, Jamie Scholl, Kobe Ayers, Taylor Braun, Justin Elmore, Colton Gant, and then Clay Harrelson Jr. from the wastewater treatment plant went up there as well. And I just want to recognize our city employees for donating. We, through a connection, I think through Bosch and then Julie Wright out of my office, have kind of got a connection with a Lake Lore charter school. And we're going to provide them with the kids that need are going to be provided with a Thanksgiving meal. And they're also going to be collecting and sending Christmas items up there as well. And this is just all volunteer. They weren't asked to do it, but they went on their own. And there was a connection with the school, with the teacher. And so they're doing that. So, and I would like to mention something that's in your packet. This came from Mr. Oakes that lives here in the city. And Lori Benfield waited on him when he paid his bill. And he just wanted to let council know and everybody know how impressed he was at how quickly his power was restored. And Lori put in there, as a co-worker and resident of Lincoln, it makes me proud to hear these positive remarks. So I'm very thankful for our citizens because, it's not been easy. I mean, it took us a month to get through all the debris, and now we're back to square one because everybody put debris out behind us, But that's just the way it is. That's the business we're in. I tell people it's job security because it's always going to be there. But I just wanted to mention that and thank the employees that were willing to go up and help our neighbors. And we're just proud of our departments because they all volunteered and said, hey, let us know if and we will. I'm going tomorrow to a Western North Carolina managers meeting in Morganton. And because we've kind of, we had a week's worth of disarray, but now it's time to help them because it's going to be months and months, and some of it's going to be years before they get back to normal. So I'll let you know as the needs come in, but just want to say thank you to everybody for their efforts.
We have a wonderful city.
We have a great city. We have a great staff. I've always said that. It's a triangle. We've got our citizens, we've got our council, and we've got our co-workers here, and it takes all of us. But when it's working, it's about as good as it gets. And we've been blessed over the years. I want to take a minute to thank the people that spent hours and hours and hours in the preparation for Apple Festival, and then hours and hours in actually working that day. The Apple Festival committee, and then Laura Morris. Is Laura here? Laura's on that committee. I told Winter at the meetup Wednesday, I didn't get a single phone call it's hard to put 35 to 40,000 people in a downtown and somebody not get mad. But apparently, if they did, they didn't call me, which is great. You look at the planning committee, which is county staff, city staff, volunteers. If you look at the time that's put in for the people that are going in the day before, putting out the barricades, showing vendors where to go, and then I was in the command staff a little bit. The police and fire and the county guys, they're on top of it. They got drones in the air. As soon as something goes on, they're radioing their staff. Their staff is there within sometimes seconds, but at least within minutes. It is a well-oiled machine, and I just feel lucky that we have a committee like that's as good as they are. But like I say, since we've moved it to October, we don't have the heat-related issues anymore. It is truly a great event for Lincoln County and for the downtown as well. But I just wanted to thank them. And I always say Fred Hauser would always put in the paper about how impressed he was the day after because how clean it is. And it's our spring cleaning in the fall, but Nathan's guys, the street department, the solid waste guys, they really do a great job cleaning up afterwards. And it takes sometimes 11, 12 o'clock before they're done. So it's, these guys are, it is. It's amazing. It's amazing what they do. And but it's our way of showcasing our city to the communities around us. I also wanted to mention the veteran banners. The street department installed those this year. And I want to thank Apple Festival because they allowed us to put them up early. And I thought that was special for people to be able to walk around and see our veterans. And I want to give credit to Del Punch and the veterans for coming up with that idea. And Christine, when she first came on, we took a tour of the city, and I said, if you don't mind, let's ride the Cherville, because Del Punch said they have banners up there. And as soon as we pulled up, I said, we need these.
Yes.
But I give Del credit, and then Nathan's department, because they actually get the order in, they put them up, and then the electric department will switch them out as they put up the Christmas banners. So, but I just think it's really neat to come, through our downtown and see the people that have served our country, and I'm sure their kids, grandkids, great grandkids, and great great grandkids appreciate seeing them up there as well. I put in there the monthly homeless report, a little uptick, but still way down compared to what we were years ago. Incident reports, we had 9. Charges, we had 9. And then other business, I put in there our action item spreadsheet, your housing report. You will notice an increase in the median average, or median price, or average price. There's 2 different categories. I think a lot of that has to do with the Startown development. Those houses are being sold. They're pretty much priced between $330 to $380, so they're driving up that average. So it's pretty significant. But Lincoln County had it as well. I think we need to get ready. Interest rates are going to drop again, most likely. And when that happens, we're going to see another run.
I believe they did today.
Yeah, they may have. And just so you know, Lincoln Meadows is progressing, and the other development on Startown Road is progressing too. So we're gonna start to see a lot of houses go up. Those houses that are listed up there are being sold. So that's a good sign. And then I put in there because we did the Placer AI, and it was to allow the city and the Tourism Development Board to see how many people are showing up to our events, where they're coming from. And so Kayla, who was our intern in the city manager's office, we've moved her right now to part-time in the planning department to help Gene and Ashley out because they've been shorthanded for a while now. Is kind of keeping up with this information. So I put in there, we had, I think right at 7,000 people for the Wine, Brew, and Food Festival, and we recorded 29,000 for Apple Festival, but that's only people with cell phones. So you got to realize, let's say 10 and under, 12 and under, there's a lot of kids that were there. So I've always said, for that event, you're probably talking 35, 40,000. But what this allows us to do is allows us to see where these people are coming from and where did they go after the event. So, I noticed, was Brian in here? I noticed like 2% of them went to Untapped after the Apple Festival. So, that lets him know, hey, I might want to advertise, or I might want to do something special for that. But this gives us something that we can go when we're marketing Lincolnton and say, we need to market this area because we've noticed an uptick in traffic coming from, this community. And I'll continue to do that we're monitoring weekly. To give you an example, there was 100,000 people plus, I think, in the downtown area in September. So, it's nice to know those numbers when you're trying to attract a business to come to Lincolnton or attract a business to come to your downtown. All right. Budget retreat. Jill and I had a conversation. As y'all know, she I don't say volunteer because I hope they pay you to go with middle school kids, but she goes on field trips. She's always a chaperone with them. The month of March is busy. So we were looking on the calendar, and it's going to help me because I am pushed to try to get everything done by the 15th, 16th, or 17th. The first date that she would be available, I think, would be the April 11th.
Yes.
So can y'all look at your calendar to see if that works? It does not interfere with Easter. And if that Friday doesn't work, then we may be able to just push a Saturday somewhere. But it will really, to be honest with you, be a little bit easier on me. And if we need another workshop, we'll have another one. And just a reminder, even though I do the budget message the 1st of May, we can have as many workshops as we want. The budget just has to be adopted so it's ready to go July 1. So we're fine. And it's ironic, but it's next month I will start on the budget. So trying to get everything going.
Yeah, it suits me fine.
Okay. Mark, we need to ask you too because you're going to be involved. So just check your calendar and let us know. But look for we're going to do everything in a day, just like we've done before. So, and lastly, just a reminder about Wednesday, and if for some reason something comes up and you can't come, just let me know. Yes.
I think you're already doing this, but last Christmas I sent lots of people to go down and see the Christmas lights at where Santa Claus was at the park.
Correct.
And it wasn't on the nights that he wasn't there. Is it going to be on every night this Christmas?
And ironically, the first night is December 1st, correct, Laura?
Actually, it'll be the following Thursday.
Oh, is it? No, I'm sorry. I'm just not December. You're right, because I've already told them that Tourism Development has bought a train. And so we're going to do a little Polar Express on the rail trail. So I told them I was going to drive the train the first night. Well, it's... First night's the city council meeting, so I'm going to have to go back. But I will be there the next night, I hope. So, yes, they're going to have... It's 3 weeks in a row.
3 weekends.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah. And I tell you what, how many did Betty say they had last year? They gave out 1,500... Yeah, 1,500 cards to kids. And I said, my 2 grandkids didn't get a card because they told the elf. Yeah, there was a lot more. So yeah, that was something Tourism Development purchased, or Laura purchased, but they provided the revenue for that, the money for that, and it's just going to keep getting bigger. It is.
But Christine, to answer your question, we are working on how we can have the lights on even when Santa is not at Santa's village.
Yeah.
So that you can see them.
It is. It is. The good thing about that park, because of where it's situated, is you see it from Main Street, and it lets people know that it's down there. So, and remember,
it's a manual thing, and so someone has to actually be there to turn them on and turn them off.
Yeah.
And we're working on how to do that.
and everything's free. That's another thing too. But I think this year they're going to get a vendor maybe for cocoa and coffee. Maybe.
I don't know. They're doing some more.
Yeah.
They got a lot of stuff planned.
So I can go ahead and send people on any night and the lights will be on.
I put at the very bottom, just as a reminder, because we're getting into that season, Tanya will be sending you packets. I'll be sending you my goals and the achievements for this past year. It won't be long, but by December, and we'll start the evaluation process and then do it in January. So I had that as a reminder from last year, so I put it on this year too. But that's all I've got. There's some really good stuff in there, especially with the Placer AI. And then, like I said, if you'll go through that city page, you'll see some of our fine men and women that work for the city and what they do, and birthdays, and people who have won contests. I will remind you, we will have our Christmas luncheon. You know the date, Daphne? I don't put you on the spot because I do not remember it right now. But I'll remind you in December. But we're preparing some different things for that as well to make sure everybody has a good time.
Actually said it's 12.
I think that's I think that's right. I think it's December 12th. It's it's a hit. It's a moving target every year.
Yeah.
That's right.
But Mayor, that's all I had. Be glad to answer any questions if there are any. But I would ask that we would add a closed session to discuss property.
Before we go into closed session, does news media have any questions?
Yeah, maybe one or two. What was the vote to extend the days of the social district?
3-1.
3-1. Okay. I think Richie may have answered another question on that. I noticed at the Apple Festival, of course, social district was not enforced.
Correct.
Yeah.
We had decided that originally, that the special events that are our signature events for the city, that it would not, and there again, I think it would be something that DDA would have to look into, and
What is DDA?
Downtown Development Association. Yeah.
It's also partially related to the organizer's choice. Apple Festival is very adamant about not having alcohol at the Apple Festival. So their preference would be to not allow it, even if we did.
Well, of course, there was one establishment downtown village. Of course, you have to be right in front of that.
That's a private property, yes.
What was one other thing, the COPS grant?
Correct.
Will fund new positions. Could you give me a little more detail on that?
Yeah. In fact, Mike, if you want to, I've got it in this packet. I'll give you my packet, and it basically it allows us to hire 4 officers. Now, naturally, when that grant's over with, we're still responsible for those 4 officers. Luckily for us, though, we'd already planned on hiring 4 officers for the Startown developments because we know there's going to be growth in that area and the need for more police officers. We also have some retirements coming up. So, if for some reason we don't lose through attrition, we'll lose through retirement. But it's $500,000 that the city doesn't have to come up with.
Is that the one that runs them for 3 years?
Yeah, it's like the seed grant that we got for the fire department as well.
All right, thank you.
Okay. We'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are in closed session.